And one of the things that Satan has used in deceiving a lot of people is these so-called cultural heritage celebrations. Ever heard about them? These cultural day celebrations, and they're always celebrations of demons. Think about it. Think about it. If we want to locate our culture, how far back should we go? What is the culture? Who gave us the culture that we have decided is the culture of our country or of our people? Who decided where to start the culture? Should we start from the 13th century? Should we start from the 12th century? 9th century? Where should we start? Maybe we'll go to the BCs. How far back can we go? Where do we decide where the culture begins? And what I find in many of these cities and nations, in places where they're celebrating what they call cultural heritage, that they always pick those things that were transferred to them by demons. Demonic dances, demonic coverings. Because they're often inspired by witch doctors. Remember what I just said, witch doctors. And go find out in your Bible where, they metamorphosed from witch doctors to native doctors. Hardly did you find any real native doctor that was not a witch doctor, because they were often consulting with demons, with spirits, to come up with these incantations and whatever things that would they mix up in administer to cure people. They were even educated with that information that some sicknesses were spiritual. And they practiced exorcism. So this should tell you what this heritage, this so-called heritage really is. How many of those heritage, cultural heritage celebrations, did they talk about Jesus? Did they talk about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? Where did they talk about them? They talk about Noah and what he preached. Or Job, who was one of the oldest characters presented to us in the Bible. No, they don't celebrate anything like that. They bring in priests and priestesses of shrines. They want to give the impression to the whole world that the culture came somehow from these demonic activities. Of course, they don't present them with the term demons, but we know what they're talking about because we can see the images. Christians are not supposed to be a part of that. We have a different culture. When you were born again, Jesus brought you into a new kingdom. You were born into God's kingdom. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. You're not a part of this thing. And the earlier you realize it, the better. You don't belong there. And that's something the devil doesn't like us to talk about. That's why I said you got to look at the symbols. Look at what's going on. I told you about the mask yesterday. Let me say just a little more about that.